Hey y'all, Nathaniel Doddridge here with Casey's General Stores in beautiful sunny central Iowa. So coming to you today just to talk a little bit about fuel, a little bit about our expanded offer for fuel, specifically higher blends of ethanol. Before I get into that, let me tell you a little bit of something about Casey's for those who don't know who Casey's is. So we're actually, believe it or not, the 5th largest pizza retailer in the country, from a convenience store. Yeah, that's right, from a convenience store. So when we talk today about innovation and products and everything, just know that we go all in. This is just not your local mom and pop convenience store, maybe the way we started 50 years ago, but as you'll see today, we're on the cutting edge of innovation, specifically around fuel, but also when you look at Casey's in general. So when you're 50 years old and in 16 states like we are, obviously the offer is going to look a lot different. And so as you can see here, we have a robust set of offers, but it's not like this in every state, but we've heard the consumer. We've heard what the consumer wants. And so as you think about not just Iowa, but in Arkansas, Michigan, Ohio, customers want diversity, and so that's what we get here. We don't have that luxury of having that everywhere. Some places we only have a couple products, but here we have a full slate of products, and it's not because we're in Iowa, and it's not like it's the field of dreams where you just build it and they will come. Consumers are asking for more, and they're asking for more higher blends of ethanol, and that's what we have today. And so we're always in the cutting edge of innovation, and this is cutting edge for fuel. So only 3 years ago when I joined Casey's, as you can tell, I'm a little new to the Midwest with my southern accent, we only had 5 locations in our entire chain that actually had this product set. As we think about where we're at today, we're at over 250 locations that offer higher blends of ethanol. As we think about next year, the years after that, we expect to crest 500 locations across our footprints with higher blends of ethanol. And again, it's not because we just put it out there as a placeholder. We put it here because customers like higher octane, they like the lower value of fuel, they get the higher blends, and it's the total quality product at a cheaper price. Yeah, so with this new to industry location, we actually have the luxury of building this from the ground up. So when we think about a ground up build, bigger tanks, more compartments, more complexity, more offers. As you can see here on the pump, pretty heavy on the left side of the dispenser with the different products that we sell, specifically the higher blends of ethanol. This dispenser, actually, we're only delivering 5 products to this store, but we're actually getting 6. So we got 5 here, we got diesel behind us, but these newer pumps, these newer dispensers give us the flexibility to be able to offer whatever we need today. But as we think about the future, whether that's E20, E30, who knows where the blends go from here, right? One thing we've learned over the last couple years is we can actually take these blends to some of those locations that do have some challenges with the infrastructure. Just down the street in Bondurant, Iowa, a store that was built in the 80s, we've actually gone into that location that only sells 2 products, only has 2 products in the ground, and we actually sell higher blends of ethanol out of that location. Very easy conversion for us. We're one of the only ones in the industry who's been going out front and actually leading with unleaded 88 or E15. You know, one thing about our higher blends, specifically unleaded 88, as you can see here on the pump, a lot of value coming from the higher blends of ethanol. So if you look at today, our unleaded 88, our E15 is actually 10 cents cheaper than our normal regular E10. That's a huge advantage for us in the marketplace. It really gives us one more bullet to play with when we're out having that competitive battle every day with our competition. And I will tell you, when consumers see this value on our price sign, whether they're familiar with the product or not, they are stopping at a Casey's to see, hey, what's up with that new product? You know, one thing that's important is price, but also as we look at the pump, it's also the messaging. How can we educate our customer about what this new product is? Is it safe? When you're putting fuel in a very expensive car, you want to make sure it's safe and it's reliable. And so we want to make sure we lead with price and back it up with the message. So there's a couple different ways that we can get the unleaded 88 at the pump. This is a little bit of a unique situation. So what we do at this location is we actually deliver an E85. This dispenser will actually do the blending in the dispenser, and we actually blend E85 and regular 87 E10 to get unleaded 88. So it gives us that flexibility. This blender pump gives us that flexibility to really play with those blends and get to the product that the consumers want. Other locations, we're actually delivering, now that the 1 pound waiver has been passed, we're actually delivering a pre-blended E15 in a lot of locations, which gives us even more flexibility in those locations that have some tight constraints around tank capacity. like I said, we've come a long ways in 3 years. We still have a long way to go, right? We're building 60 to 80 new stores a year. One thing that I think we have to notice whenever we're doing projects like this is we can't do them by ourselves. There's a lot of partners within the industry, but more importantly, as we think about capital intensive projects, we've been very fortunate to be in some very tax advantaged states, some very tax friendly states, some ethanol friendly states, but also at the federal level, some grants out there that's helped us springboard into this. And so as we think of Casey's in the future, 5 to 10 years from now, we're going to continue to innovate. We're going to continue to put products in the market that our customers want. We feel like ethanol will continue to be a primary part of who we are and what we are as a fuel strategy. So we're excited to see what comes down the line, and hopefully we're setting ourselves up for success long term to serve every customer we can across our 16 states and wherever we go from here.
Well, thanks for that. And for those of you who are not from the Midwest and have not been fortunate enough to get to visit a Casey's General Store, you're missing out. But if you ever get that way, you should definitely make a stop by Casey's. We are grateful to have Nathaniel Doddridge join us here today to answer some questions for you. I'm going to go ahead and get started and ask Nathaniel some questions, and then hopefully if you've got some questions, you can always type them in the Q&A box down at the bottom. So Nathaniel, I'm curious, what has been the general difference at the wholesale level between the price of gasoline and ethanol over the past decade? If you could explain a little bit for us.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me. I'm a little still out of breath from that video. So good question. I think sometimes we don't realize how complicated this business is. And so, one thing I'll say is I'll answer that fairly general and say over the last decade, ethanol has been advantaged versus the gasoline products. And how we've gotten to that price is a little bit different. If you look at today, for instance, ethanol, if you just look at the base grade, is slightly above gasoline cost. But when you add things like RIN values and tax credits, that's where you make that advantage very favorable for us, and that's why we sell it. And we feel like the feedstock long-term makes a lot of sense for octane and for sustainability. And so, yeah, just math alone of the two products has looked a little bit different, but the way you get to the end value, it's been very favorable for us for the last 10 years.
Have your higher ethanol blend sales increased over time? And if so, what is the percentage of your total volume? What percentage of your total volume is now represented by higher blends?
Yeah, good question. And like I said in the video, this is definitely not a field of dreams moment where you build it and they will come. And we just don't put it out there just to say that we've done it. And we have seen year-over-year growth. Like I said, 3 years ago, we started with 6 stores. We're over 250 locations today that sell it. And we continue to put it in the markets because we do sell it. As you think about how that product sells, just like anything, whether it's pizza or donuts or soda, it sells differently across the different states. On average, we're about 12% of the stores that sell it, about 12% of the products that sell fuel at those locations. That blend is a higher blend. We do have some locations, as I referred to, that only sell unleaded 88 and another product. You can see that product mix be anywhere from 50 to 60%. That's a unique subset of stores, but when we put it in a market, it's somewhere within the top 3 products that we sell at a location. And it goes back to, first of all, the message around the value, but also the sustainability. You think about where we're placed, and our guests get the value of E15 because the folks that are selling the seed, building the tractors, financing the tractors, everybody is involved in the Midwest with the ethanol that's going in the ground. And so there's that talking point as well, that guests just want it and they continue to put it in their vehicles.
What would you say the experience of your customer base has been for higher blends? Do you think that they're satisfied? Do you ever get any negative feedback, or is it positive for the most part, just because given your location?
Yeah, good question. And because we do sell it in 16 states, we don't always have the luxury of having the farmer or the seed manufacturer that's so gung-ho about the product. So in the retail industry, as in most industries, when things are quiet, that means it's successful. And so we've had very few comments at all since we've been moving to higher blends at a lot of locations about the quality of product. You know, how has it impacted everything from the motorcycles, the small engines, to their huge investments that people make in their vehicles. And so no comments are good. And I will say that that continues to be the case. Is, if anything, it's more, hey, how can we get more of this in the market?
Can you give us an idea about how many of your store, how many stores you have, and how many stores you sell higher blends at right now, and if it's something that you plan to do at all your stores at some point?
Yeah, so we have 2,200 locations today. As I mentioned, we're building 60 to 80 a year. Every store we build has higher blends of ethanol. We're really looking at now the challenge to go back. So we have 250 stores that have it. The challenge is, how do we go back into our legacy locations and ensure that we're compliant, that we can get it. The 1 pound waiver was huge for the industry because now we can actually get a pre-blended E15 at some terminals. There still is some work that has to be done on making that economical for everyone in the space. We're a little unique because we're so big and we have some scale that we can leverage that. But I would anticipate, you know, this time 2 years from now, we'll be at 500 locations, if not more, just based on organic growth. But we are looking at several projects to go back and retrofit some locations to actually increase that, because as I mentioned in the video, it gives us a competitive advantage in the market because not everyone is sold on this product. And so if we can offer a product that's cheaper on the street, it's going to attract people to our pad, get them the fuel, but also get them in our stores to buy our pizza and buy the other things that we sell.
Casey's Pizza is famous. I can definitely attest to that. Well, I don't see any other questions in the queue, but I do want to thank you very much for everything you've done, and thank you for joining us. This, I know on the in-person tour, the retail site location is always a highlight of the tour, so we really appreciate it. And thanks for, well, actually, we have one more question that's popped up here. So, and I'm not sure if you can answer this or not, but the question was, will Case, I guess it's not will, did Casey's apply for the HBIP funding that just closed with the USDA?
Yeah, so I will say we put a lot of effort in that. We felt like that was a way to accelerate what we're doing. There are some, again, it can be capital intensive. And as a company our size, we're a $7 billion valued company, and that doesn't mean money just falls out of trees. That means at times money actually gets harder to get. And so this was definitely a way for us to try to accelerate higher blends into the market. And I'll say that generally, yes, we did participate. We didn't participate in the original BIP program, and we've tried to catch up to that. And so we went into this with eyes wide open, trying to cast the net as wide as we could, and fully expect that we'll have some favorable results from our scoring and things from that. And I will tell you, we probably put 3 to 4 people on that project, and I'll say the process is grueling. To the application process is tough, but you know what, we weren't going to let that slow us down. And so yeah, we did go in and participate in that, and looking forward to hearing the results of that here in the near future.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Nathaniel. We really appreciate it. And like I said, this is always a highlight of the tour, so we are grateful that you were able to join us.